Hello everyone, thank you for stopping by. In this video I'm going to be reviewing another book that I had chosen for my October spooky season book haul. It's really creepy. It's actually a crazy book, let me tell you. This is The Hunger by Alma Katsu. It's crazy. C to the Y, crazy. This book is the Donner Party historical horror. Oh my god. Oh, I was in like, what can I say? I'm gonna say quite a few things. I'm gonna try to not give any spoilers. Let's just get into it. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, let's just get into it. Okay. So, as I said, this book is a historical horror about the Donner Party. Donner Party, as we know, is a wagon train in the 1840s that started late. They got stuck in the Sierra Nevada and resorted to cannibalism to survive. So it's already a horror story in itself. But let's put a supernatural twist on that. Let's do something like that. That's what the author said. It's like, it's already horrific. Let's make it more so. And that's the book that we got. And it is intense. It's an intense read. I'm also going to say I listened to the Audible, and that is also very intense. So either way is it's a really intense, scary, creepy time. As I said, it is endorsed by the king himself, Stephen King. He said it's deeply, deeply disturbing. If that's what he says, it must be true, and it is. There are some very disturbing parts of it. There might be some trigger stuff for some people, and I'll go into that a little bit. I just don't want to give a lot of stuff away, but there is some disturbing stuff. Okay, so the book follows, as we know, the Donner Party, which is it was actually known as the Donner Reed Party. So it was two large families and then a lot of people joining them, going out west, going to California to, you know, seek a better life, like a lot of people did back in the day. And they started too late. And another thing that they did is that they were taking a route that was unproven, the Hastings cutoff. And this guy Hastings, so I went down the rabbit hole of like reading about it after I read the book, because I knew a little bit about it. You know, the basic premise of the Donner Party, of what happened and cannibalism. You know that, but you don't know why, how, why were they late? And those things are real. I highly recommend, after reading the book, getting into that, because that's crazy. That they were kind of this guy wrote this book, Hastings wrote this book about his cutoff, and they were kind of shysted into doing it. Like, a lot of people were like, it was unproven and it's a bad route, and it's just a bunch of bad circumstances that happened to these people, and that's one of them. So there was that. That's a big part of it. So definitely look into that. So the book itself, it doesn't have one main narrative. So we don't actually have one person that we're rooting for, or it's told from one perspective. It's told from multiple perspectives. And the overall narrator is like an omniscient narrator, where they say he said, she said. Even when it's being told from that person's perspective, it's like that, which I enjoy. I like that. So with each person in the party telling a bit of their tale, we get a little bit of the mystery of what's really happening with each story. So it's very good. So we're not really, there's going to be like, so we're not really rooting for one particular individual. You're going to be rooting for a few people in this book and just kind of seeing what happens. Definitely be aware going in that this is not a happy ending. That's not what we're looking for here. Basically, this is mystery, horror, and that's what you're gonna get. This isn't happy feels at all. No happy feels here. But it's written very well, and I truly enjoyed it. So what I liked about this book, a lot actually. It's really good. I liked the different stories from different characters' perspectives. I enjoyed piecing together the mystery. I enjoyed seeing it unfold. And the thing is, like, when I read it and then I listened to it, and all these things, like, there's a lot of little things that these characters will mention, like, in their past stories. Like, we'll go back and forth a little bit, and they'll say something very casually about events, and it all weaves together. So I'm gonna say pay attention to little things. I love that in a book. I love it when you need to do that, when it's like you think it's like something will be mentioned and you think it's nothing. You just think, oh well, you know, it's just a little thing here, and it's part of a bigger piece to a bigger puzzle. It's very good. So well written, great characters. It's very intense, which is what I was looking for, and I'm gonna say I like that about it. It's intense, which is what I was wanting for October in my reading and all my entertainment, basically. This is just horror, scary stuff. That's what I'm into for this month, so I was loving all of that. What I didn't like, it's not necessarily what I didn't like, because it was very important to the story. I'm just thinking about what other people are comfortable reading. So there's some very intense parts, because we have to think about, the story is called The Hunger, and so think about, there are different types of hunger. There's some gross stuff in there. There's some very intense reading, and it's not about liking it. And you don't like it, but it is part of the story. It's very intense, and some people might be uncomfortable with certain parts of it. So I will say that, like, if you have certain triggers, certain parts of it might be very uncomfortable to read. And it was definitely, when I'm reading it, it is uncomfortable, and it's infuriating, like, parts of it. But you are supposed to feel that way. You are supposed to be enraged. You are supposed to be offended. You're supposed to, that's the reaction. Not to tell you how to feel, but, like, that's kind of how you're supposed to be. Like, it's not portrayed as, like, good or, no. It's you are supposed to be very upset at these scenes. However, I will say this, it's not graphic. They're not graphic scenes. It's just like, just saying that these things are happening, and it's disturbing. Like, as the king said, there are some deeply, deeply disturbing parts of the book. I will warn you with that. I will say it's not graphic. So they're there, but it's not graphic. I'll tell you that. Just a brief analysis of a couple things that you pick up on in the book. There's a discussion of the idea of monsters. So they're being hunted by something that's hungry. There's no game, and they don't know what. And one person says, monsters, there's no such thing as monsters. And, you know, our hero, Stanton, he's like, I've known all kinds of monsters. And it's a very deep thought into the concept of monsters. What is a monster? There's these physical monsters that are hunting them, and then there's monsters that are men. And that's even more haunting and disturbing. And as I usually say, it's like, that's the real horror. The real horror is that there are monsters in your family, there's monsters in life, and you can't distinguish them. They disguise themselves. And that's a big part of the book, is the monsters among us. So that's a big takeaway from this book, just thinking about what is a monster? Like, and the monsters, and by the way, the monsters, they reveal themselves in all different ways in this book. There are all different kinds of monsters in this book. And how she touches on so many of them and they're weaved together is really good. It's a really good book. It's just really good. So overall, I highly recommend this book. It's really good. I fully enjoyed it. Pick it up for October or any time really, and enjoy yourself. If you like historical horror, if you like historical novels, this book's gonna be right up your alley. If you have some PTSD from playing the Oregon Trail, maybe don't pick it up. Maybe avoid. You have that like died of dysentery. Don't pick it up. But if you're just in the mood for something really horrific, definitely pick it up. I recommend it. I will also say that this author has a new book out. It's called The Deep, which is a historical horror on the Titanic. And I will be reviewing that one as well. I cannot wait to get into it. It's on my list and I will get to it this year. Or by the end of the year. Because we're in October, man. It's almost the end of the year. So, thanks for stopping by, and I will see you in the next one. 再见。